Welcome to the Saturday Night Live Afterparty. This week, we'll be discussing Season 47, Episode 15 of SNL with host Zoë Kravitz and musical guest Rosalia. I'm Catherine Coleman, and I am joined this week by Steve Finn and Pat Riley. If you'd like to connect with Pat, you can do so at Not Pat Riley. And if you'd like to connect with us, you can do so at snlpodcast.com. All right, here we go. Hello, everyone. We have a big show tonight. We have a great first-time host, a lot of cats, and weirdly, just a ton of Jackass references. I'm excited to dive into it. I'm excited to have you here. How you doing, guys?
Well, I'm excited. I'm sitting next to Patrick once again. Probably the hardest I've ever laughed recording a podcast was with this guy. So welcome back, man.
Stop it! Stop! I'm super excited. I've seen Batman twice. I tried to go a third time last night, but was unsuccessful. So let's say I'm a fan of the Batman, and they have the Catwoman. So this is great.
Patrick, you're a big hit with the audience, so you're gonna be our go-to comic book guy every time we get a comic book movie host. But all right, you ready to jump in?
Let's do it.
Up first, the Biden team meets with TikTokers to strategize about the Russia-Ukraine situation. Steve, what'd you think of this?
It was a pretty good idea for a cold open, I think. I had a lot of fun with it. I'm not really on TikTok, but I've been loving everything TikTok related that SNL has done up to this point. And yeah, there was some laughs to be had with this one. I thought it was great. I love the whole idea that, it was suggested as a joke, and that was the explanation for why we were even there. And I just, it went as well as you thought it would. As much faith as the characters themselves had in it. And yeah, there was some great writing there. I'm not familiar with pretty much any of these personalities that they've spoofed on. I think I have seen a little bit of the If I Were Your Mother lady, the actress from the CW. I think I've seen like 1 second of it and had to turn it off, but
I mean, you at least know who Jason Derulo is.
I think so, as like a musical artist.
Right.
Yeah, he's from the movie Cats.
I guess he's...
I don't know if you've seen Cats.
He was in that.
He plays Rum Tum Tiger.
Rum Tum Tiger.
Jason Derulo, that's the one. It's that cat.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not up on Jason Derulo too much, I guess. But it didn't detract from my enjoyment of the sketch. I thought, this was great.
Pat, where'd you land?
Weren't we just, when I was here last for the Willem Dafoe episode, were we not just saying how we would love it if it's just the TikTok element of that sketch? And now we have a full sketch. So they listened to the pod. Is what we're one of the.
They took in our feedback.
They took the feedback and they just gave me what I wanted, which was just TikTok jokes. I'm on TikTok a lot. I hate all these people on TikTok. The thing that's really good about TikTok is it will understand your viewing patterns and just show you what you want, and it's really good at understanding what you want. So I don't see a lot of these people on, but every once in a while they'll slip through the cracks. And I'll see one, and I'll just be like, "Oh, this is the worst of this generation." And I really, really loved Aidy Bryant's little girl who like lives on a farm and raises horses, who's also a QAnon person, because that person exists, and she has 1 million followers. It's insane. Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean all because I don't think there was one or two that was like, this is directly a person from they're making fun of, but for the most part it was kind of like a combination of a bunch of different TikToking styles, and I think it really worked. I thought it was funny overall. I like this opening. It was a good opening. It's a very serious topic, so it's like it's touchy where we're just kind of like, what do we So this was a fun way to handle it, you know?
Yeah, it's like it's topical, but like tangentially, like it's like about that thing without being about that thing, which is
I think
really
it's
smart.
a smart way to handle it.
Yeah, that's true. I as far as what we got, I don't know. I think the premise is like really promising. Of TikTokers in the White House. Like, what happened in this meeting? I don't know. I felt like some of them were maybe a little too surface level, like kind of parodies of the TikTok characters. But there were great moments. Like I loved the idea of Chloe pointing, but no words come up. The sad Jason Derulo's great. I like that. That Keenan turns out to be like the wrong person. I think that's really fun. And then like the ending with Bowen was the highlight for me.
100%.
I'm familiar with that TikToker. Like I know him. I thought it seemed like the writers had the best grasp on what that guy's deal is to sort of apply him to Bowen's character. And so I thought that one was the most fun for sure. So yeah, it wasn't my favorite of like the political cold opens, but it ended on a really high note for me, which was nice.
Yeah, I agree. I honestly thought that slow zoom on the plunger as Bowen is saying like real actual like commentary killed me. The fact that also, and you could see as you zoom in, you can see his hips. He's really working the plunger.
Well, he's getting it at the exact right angle, so it's just pointing straight at the camera, and I really appreciated that commitment.
Genius, just genius. That is comic. That is just comic timing to a molecule level that like scientists someday are gonna have to just they're gonna have to go into a room and try to figure out how Bowen is so good at just the perfect timing of when to flick it up on different words and stuff. It was genius.
Yeah.
Genius.
That's the stuff I love the most, because I mean, how much pressure must these people be under, when it's actually live and they're actually doing it. It's one thing to have your cues and your lines, but like just to make sure you're in frame with your your plunger nipple. Yeah, the nipple control. It's perfectly orchestrated.
They don't teach that at the comedy schools. Let me tell you.
They don't. There should be a whole UCB class on where to put your plunger nipple on screen to hold the screen. Like I literally, I was taking notes.
Curated by Bowen Yang.
Yeah, I was taking notes while watching it, and I was writing down. Oh, I loved Chloe in the sketch, and I crossed that out to put zoom on the plunger. Bowen fucking gets it. That's all. Just like
I no longer want to talk about that.
Yeah, Chloe was very funny. It's a good bit. Whatever. Oh my God, Bowen Yang's plunger nipples are insane.
Oh man.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we've covered the cold open. We've covered the nipple. Let's keep going. Let's talk about the monologue. Light up the cat signal. It's a moment for cat women and Williamses alike. Pat, was this a win?
I wasn't crazy about the opening. It wasn't. I don't know. It's because, and it's the first time we see Zoë Kravitz. It's her first time hosting. She was definitely nervous, and it kind of made me nervous for the rest of the show because I was like, oh, she's really not like. It's that thing that it's when like someone who's very good at drama isn't great at comedy and timing and stuff. So I was a little nervous about that. And then also I was kind of bummed out that they were having Catwoman show up, and we didn't get Anne Hathaway or Halle Berry's Catwoman. And that I would have liked to see. I would have liked to see everyone's two least favorite Catwomen show up.
Now hold on. I don't hate Anne Hathaway's Catwoman.
Oh, I do. I'm not crazy about that movie. But overall, it was like I felt like the opening monologue should be a place where we see how the host is going to be for the night. And I just felt like Zoë Kravitz was a little unsure and very she wasn't relaxed. Where I will say in the rest of the episode, she does get relaxed right away. And I honestly, I think steals some sketches. But I wasn't crazy about the opening. It wasn't for me.
Which is surprising because it was the most Batman part of the night.
It was, and I love Batman. It's established. He's the guy with the things, right? Is that the Batman? I always forget.
That's the tagline. I think for the Batman. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, I think she was maybe, some could say, underutilized throughout the show.
Yeah.
Like there were a lot of sketches where she didn't really have many lines. But I think that maybe speaks to what her energy was like coming into the week. You know, maybe she was a little hesitant. She was a little nervous. You know, they
Yeah.
gave her plenty of training wheels on the monologue, and she did pull it out. Like we'll talk about some sketches where she definitely seemed to own it, and it worked out. But I think maybe what we're seeing here is that she was pretty antsy on when she got there Monday.
Yeah.
But I really liked the monologue. I was here for it. Kate McKinnon walks out in that outfit, and that was good for me. And then we got Ego, and I thought, oh, this is great. Like I felt like this was really inspired. They wanted to talk about Catwoman. They found like a fun way to do it, and without overloading us on just straight Catwoman parodies and like bringing in like 80s Cat Lady and then Cat Williams. I don't know. I thought it was pretty creative. And then the freeze in place gag, I thought was a nice creative ending. I thought it was a strong finish. So, high marks for me. Steve, are you gonna split the difference here?
I mean, sure, yeah, because like I didn't hate it, and I guess it's not a real crime, but this goes against the very definition of a monologue. This is pretty much a setless sketch, if we're going to be honest about what this was.
But it's not like this is the first time they've not done a monologue,
Yeah.
But it never, when it's a first time host, it never makes me feel like, okay, we're going to get a great first timer that we're going to want back as soon as possible. I'm not getting that vibe when I see something like this, but that's okay. I did enjoy the idea, and I appreciated that they kind of, they reference Batman as you would expect with Zoe hosting, but they didn't actually refer to any specific content from this new movie. For people like me, I guess, who have not seen it yet, sorry, everybody.
Yeah, so some mixed reviews on the monologue, but let's see what the rest of the night holds.
Oh boy, no, I'm kidding. I enjoyed it.
Up next, a maid of honor speech filled with absolute bombshells. Steve, what'd you make of this?
I'll tell you, the whenever I see Cecily Strong in a wedding sketch, I just feel like it's never going to work out well for the groom. I think this has happened enough on the show that it almost sets itself up without any words. But this was so simple in its idea and execution. But it allowed them to focus on just making the story that unveils be so sharp and witty and work so well. And I think they really knocked it out of the park with just how they let this all unfold. It was, up there with, Beck Bennett's Take Me Back pre-tape from a few seasons ago. But yeah, it was just great. And this is where Zoe kind of was able to, actually do something of substance for the show and kind of get me on board with her as a host. So I'm glad for that.
Pat, did you enjoy this?
Yeah, I like this sketch a lot. It's one of those throwaway parts of the sketch that I kind of fixated on, which is when I think it's Mikey Day comes out as the guy who's the MC, I guess the MC of the wedding, who's like, I'm sorry I took a bite of the cake. That's a very short speech. You just came out, you started with the look down thing, then you walked off. I'm so sorry. I was expecting more. This is embarrassing. I thought that was so funny. And it was such a weird moment of the sketch where it's never brought up again. But I love those moments. I really laughed hard where it's revealed that she stormed the Capitol, where she's like, you know those protests we went to? What did you tell the cop? I am going to go into the Capitol and kill Mike Pence. And I was like, great. Yeah, this is something that they've done before with the whole, like, just, it's a very simple premise of like, just build out a story, make this person as unlikable, as terrible as possible as we go. And every time it works for me. Every time. It's just so silly. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll be a little bit more down on the sketch than
Okay.
you. I like the premise. I like piling on to a character. I thought it was well written as far as like how quickly she was able to just get these things in back to back. They compounded really well, and I liked the details. The part that I didn't like was I just didn't feel like it was varied at all. Like Kyle's reactions every time was just a question.
Yeah.
So I thought changing that up and heightening his reaction in some way might have just taken it to the next level. And so by
Yeah, I
the
can see
end, I was sort of like, let Kyle's character do something else, basically. So that's sort of my gripe with it. But there's nothing wrong with the sketch. Like it's a good premise. It's written well. I was just sort of in my like writer brain was like, no, you can't ask that many questions in a row. You know?
Yeah.
What
Yeah,
kids and what dads?
There definitely needed to be a turn for his character, and we never got that.
I will say the crowd in the studio was hot last night. Like they were into everything.
Loved it. Yeah.
They loved everything. So,
Yeah.
you know, even with sketches that I ultimately liked less, there was a good energy to everything just because the crowd was so into it. So I will say that for, you know, as we go on.
Yeah.
All right. So maid of honor speech, mostly positive things to say. Let's keep going. At the Amazon Go store, you can just grab anything, put it in your bag, and walk out. We promise it's not a trap. Pat, how'd you feel about this one?
I've never agreed with a sketch more. I don't trust that store. I don't like the store. Yeah, no, this as it started, I was like, oh, I wonder where they're going with it. And then the second, I think it's Chris Red who goes, no. I was like, oh, good. Yes, I agree 1,000,000%. I do not trust that they're going to count it. Also, my thing, too, is like, I feel like they're going to overcharge me. And the entire sketch, it wasn't even laughing. It was just me going, yeah, they get it. They understand. They get it. It's I loved Andrew Demuke's little aside when Zoë Kravitz almost does it and then doesn't do it. He goes, we almost got her to herself. I thought that was so funny. I really like this sketch. I think it's a good my issue with it is I feel like it didn't heighten enough at the end. I feel like it got to a point where I thought they were going to go much further with it, but then the sketch ends and I was like, oh, I thought we had like 2 more beats there, but okay. But it's just a very funny premise that it's something, it's also an original enough premise. Like I haven't seen this like anywhere other than my own feelings about the Amazon stores. But I liked it.
Yeah, I thought this was great. I think it had a very strong point of view, which is important. So I agree. Like it didn't heighten a ton. It didn't go to crazy town, but it makes up for it because it does have like it has an opinion. It has a point it's making. You know, because I've always thought I've actually never been to the Amazon Go store, but I always thought it sounded pretty cool. Like while I think that sounds fun, I can certainly see why some people would be uncomfortable with it, especially people of color, as the sketch, you know, kind of points out. And I thought that they found like a really fun way to explore that with different characters. You know, they each sort of had their own different reason. I mean, they all had the same reason for not liking, but like they had a different way to like it. Like Keenan's like, I'm just gonna leave a tip. You know, like Chris is like straight up not touching anything. Like, so I thought it was a really solid, well executed idea. So yeah, it was a big win for me. Steve, are you on the same page?
Yeah. I mean, I think I needed to see this just to be aware of my own privilege. And it's now clear to me, like this whole store idea was, you know, greenlit by a bunch of white guys who can, you know, go into a store and never feel like they have to overcompensate to appear innocent or harmless. And it's clearly something that just so many people who are not of color would never consider. Like they don't have that eye on them when they go into places because, you know, they look a certain way. So thanks SNL for the reality check and making it funny. Let's not just forget the comedy of it all. I thought all of that was great. Chris Red was probably my favorite. Yeah, like let's put the politics aside. Just trusting the technology is a big part of this. It's like, are you really going to know when I put back a sandwich, or am I going to see it like a
Right.
sandwich on my bill? Like how
Yeah.
how obvious do I have to make it? Do I make it a 10-foot arc to put it back on the shelf?
Yeah.
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 We're laughing, we're learning, and we're moving on to the next sketch. This nerd experiences patella on patella contact, and he can feel his penis in his head. Pat, I take it you're a big fan of this.
I love every time they do this sketch. These two characters, I always forget they exist, and then suddenly I'm like, I'm so happy we're in one of these again. They're great. Adi and Kate, their chemistry is incredible. Like that's not a secret. But
Mhm.
them as 12-year-old, 13-year-old boys is, I feel like, the height of comedy in this generation. Like
Mhm.
it's anything. I would love my only issue with this sketch is they have done this sketch now a handful of times. I would
Have they?
love
Because I feel like this is the second time.
this is only the second time. Oh
I
my
think
god.
so.
I feel like I've seen these characters for my entire life. Like I've known
I
these
mean, they
guys.
have a lot of similar ones.
They have a lot of similar ones. I just I would love to see the flip of this with seeing 80 have to call Kate McKinnon's character.
That would be
And then
fun.
it turns out that they're in the same room. That would be great. But
I don't know. I think Kate makes the best spy while 80 is the guy in the chair. I think that part of that dynamic makes it work.
Maybe for the third one would be a good time to turn it on its head, I guess.
Yeah, which I guess would be the next one. I thought this was like the 20th time they've done this. And for some reason in my head, I'm like, oh, they're doing this one again? All right, I'll sit and enjoy it. But I like this one a lot.
I liked this the first time. I still enjoyed it here. I will say, though, I think it's sort of what Patrick was alluding to, even though it's only the second time, I do wish it had varied a little bit.
Yeah.
I love a recurring sketch. I love a recurring character. Like, don't get me wrong, but I do like it when they build on it a little bit. So, like, maybe if they had been in a different situation, wherever teenage boys go to camp or whatever,
More than just a different location.
Yeah, exactly. Like a slight twist, something to change it up a little bit would have been appreciated for me. But for your average SNL viewer, this is obviously great because I think they're really fun characters. I think the thing to love here is the language that they use. Like, it's so specific. Like, there was at the very beginning, Kate says, "I'll stand by the mailbox and wait to be retrieved," which is just such like a funny way to say that. And then obviously, like, 80s character just really piles on to like teenage nerd language, and just looks ridiculous in that wig. So this is really enjoyable, and I can obviously see like why they did this again. And I like it, but I hope if they bring it back a third time that we do see a change in it. Definitely at that point.
Yeah.
Steve, were you excited to see it recur?
Yes. Yeah. And you're not wrong that it didn't add anything to it. It's really the same sketch with just different terrain to drive over. But they really didn't add anything, which is still forgivable at this point because I am pretty sure I only remember it one other time. So yeah, second time to bring something that's worth recurring and not do anything with it. Okay, sure. Maybe a lot of people missed it. You want to introduce it to whoever might be tuning in this time. And yeah, let's hope that round 3, if there is one, they do maybe a switcheroo like we're talking about, or a myriad of different ways just to freshen things up. It's also interesting that with so many male cast members, that doesn't necessarily mean that every male character is going to be embodied by one of them.
I feel like I would not like the sketch nearly as much if it wasn't 80 and Kate.
No, yeah.
Like, if this for some reason was Andrew and Kyle, I probably would have written this off as I didn't like this one. It wasn't for me. But because 80 and Kate it's not just the fact that they're women. It's also the fact that the two of them have such a great rapport.
Yeah.
That it really feels like you're watching like Lennon McCartney kind of like jam. You're like, oh, these guys, they are in a fucking sync with each other. They understand where the next person's going
Yeah.
in a way I wish I could, with
Mhm.
anybody. It's fantastic.
Yeah, so a win here, mostly for Kate and Adie's undeniable chemistry. Let's move along. A tale as old as '09. The Princess's Frog doesn't have a penis. Pat, was this a win?
No, I hated the sketch. I hated everything about the sketch.
Really? Wow.
I always try to go in. This is so far this year, maybe the worst sketch of the year. I hated this.
Wow.
Whoa.
Listen, I love SNL. I will say that I think more than most people, I go in watching SNL with a very hopeful heart and always ready to laugh. I hated everything about it. I feel like this sketch, it what bothered me is it starts off with like a framing device of you're watching Disney minus, which
Uh-huh.
I already think I don't think you needed. And then it goes to Cecily Strong, who sings about to remind you what Princess and the Frog is about, which we
Right.
don't need because it's Princess and the Frog. If there's a princess and a frog there, we get it. You don't have to go any
Right.
further. And then the sketch itself, I just feel like was extremely one note, and they didn't have a way out, so they introduced Andrew Dismukes as Ray the Firefly, and it's just slander. It's just slander. Ray is the heart of that movie. Ray is a perfect character. He has a beautiful song. Of course, he's voiced by Jim Cummings, who also voices Darkwing Duck and Pooh Bear. And he sings a beautiful song in his Cajun voice. And to say that he's the worst Disney character when we have a whole Home on the Range movie to pick from is bullshit. So yeah, I hated this one.
Wow, that was a strong opinion.
Yeah, I literally in my notes say don't go too hard on this one, but I couldn't help it.
Well, you did. Okay, and I'm surprised because I really liked
it. What a polarizing sketch.
Yeah.
I'll agree. It had too many framing devices.
Yeah.
But I don't know, the Disney minus hook, that joke made me laugh, so I was already like into it. And then like they got into the whole penis thing and I was getting some good laughs because I love a premise or just a whole sketch where a writer is just getting in the weeds on some like ridiculously small specific detail of like a piece of art or culture.
Yeah.
Like we had, like the Weezer sketch, stuff like that. This was, even more hyper specific than that. But that's just sort of the first example I can think of. Because I don't know, I just love I love that. I love to just find like something to fixate on and complain about. And so I like that they made it funny. I thought they found great places to go with it, with like the reveal of obviously he doesn't have a penis, that reveal, and then it goes to, well, how many eggs do you lay? I think that's great. And then the end, I agree, was not great. But overall, it was a win for me.
I will say I liked Keenan coming out as Dr. Facilier, who, again, one of my favorite Disney villains of the last decade. Not even decade anymore, 20 years, I guess, because we're all old and time doesn't make sense anymore. I don't know. Maybe it's because I am one of the few people who loves Princess and the Frog.
And yeah, I will say I've never seen it, so
it's great. This sketch does it dirty. Steve, thoughts?
Okay. Was this the best sketch in the world? No. But I had a lot of appreciation for it because like this movie did not do very well. And it in fact changed the way that they named Disney movies. After this one kind of failed, they were like, okay, no more feminine titles. We're going with Tangled, Frozen. It's not going to be Rapunzel. It's not going to be the Ice Queen. So
yeah,
this is, you know, how historical this movie is that so few people saw it. It changed a naming scheme that lasted for nearly a century. I've always meant to see it, but I've just never gotten around to it. Like, it's the last like traditionally drawn one that they've done. Uh, but yeah, I'm one of many people that is in the park where they can merit a joke about it being on Disney minus, and it being, you know, it so few people saw they decided not to use a song from Princess and the Frog, but just repurpose a Beauty and the Beast song.
That's right. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
You even have Keenan saying, "I'm the character from this movie," because people don't know.
Yeah.
This whole thing was just like, you know, a lot of tape and just, you know, packaging peanuts and everything just to keep it from breaking as you rolled it out. Yeah. So within all of that, there's, you know, all the jokes of the frog, you know, just not being able to perform in a way that he should. And yeah, it was a great escalation. I love the whole, you know, clean off stuff. Uh, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm just
Chris Red is great in this.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm happy for this sketch just because we got the line "no pesky penis" getting in the way. That just makes this all worth it. I don't care if it lasted 25 minutes. Yeah, that's a shining moment right there. I may be spoiling a piece of this podcast later, but yeah.
Yeah, and I wanted to make sure, like, Pat, I'm glad you said that, because even if you didn't like the premise, I think we can all appreciate Chris Red's performance in this.
Oh yeah, Chris Red is so fucking good in this. I mean, honestly, everyone was performing great in this. I think Andrew Demukes was really good as Ray the Firefly. Sadly, it was to spit on his grave because the character, spoiler alert, sacrifices his life for nothing in this. All right? God,
Wow.
just because he's Cajun and poor, it's a class warfare. I'm just reading into it now. Now I'm just reading into the sketch.
Well, we did get a day, which is
today.
a nice little comeback.
Yeah.
Always glad to see that. Okay, so quite the polarizing sketch here. Pat, it was nice knowing you. That was your last review.
Yep, I understand.
You can log off
Logging
now.
Yep. Goodbye, everyone, and thank you for having me.
Oh, he's gone.
All right. Well, let's keep going. Let's see if Pat's gonna calm down at any point tonight. Shut the door. We lost the cat, but we found Paul Dano. Steve, where'd you land on this PDD video?
I think this was definitely worth seeing. Did not fast forward on my rewatch because this was just tons of fun, and it's a great window into just, you know, checking out what a sketch troupe's pure style is, because it's such a simple concept. Some people lose a cat, you know. How does this particular bunch of comedic minds interpret that? How do they find the cat? You know, like, how would Jim Carrey find a cat? How would, you know, you could take any comedian and like speculate how would their brand of comedy translate to such a, you know, broad, simple idea. And yeah, such a modern troupe of this generation with, you know, the eclectic editing style and just the sheer amount of ideas that get crammed into a small amount of time. You know, they're just a really great you know, they're like the Marx Brothers on mushrooms or something. They're just your modern stooge. And I think yeah, they do really well with just classic bits. And we could go back to, you know, concepts that you might think are done to death in the comedy realm. And, you know, just the knob has turned so far in another direction from what we've seen years ago that we can return to these and get like seemingly fresh comedy out of these almost stale ideas. It's pretty amazing, really. So yeah, that's That's what I was thinking about this whole time. And it's nice to see Paul Dano. This is probably our other reference to Batman, even though there's no Batman reference itself. We have other cast members showing up. So
Yeah.
the show is doing its job in promoting the vehicle for which the host is in. So yeah. But also very, very fun.
I'm glad we got a Batman cameo. I will say, I think at the end of last season, someone asked us, who's our dream host? And I was like, I would love to see Robert Pattinson host because I think he's so funny. So
Yeah.
I knew it was unlikely because it does seem like very out of his comfort zone, but I was a little sad. But Paul Dano, that's fun enough.
Yeah.
Pat, what'd you think?
I absolutely love this sketch. I thought this sketch was brilliant. There's so many there's so many like jokes in this. It's so joke heavy. Like every cut is a joke. I've now watched it 3 times. And I love the Paul Dano bit where he holds up that he's doing the movie about them. I love the recurring joke. It's just like it's like 3 ugly guys or 3 lonely sad guys or whatever.
3 sad virgins.
I love 3 sad. I just love that keeps coming back. Yeah. So in this movie, it is Gabriel Iglesias, Justin Theroux, and Paul Dano.
Okay.
And I will pay any amount of money to see Please Don't Destroy sketch starring those 3 people and never see Martin or any of those guys in it.
See, I caught Gabriel Iglesias. I wasn't sure who the other one was, so it was Justin Theroux. That's great.
And then Paul Dano. I love that the Marx Brothers on Mushrooms is the perfect way to describe these guys because that is what this sketch feels like. I love that the cat just kept appearing in their hands, and then when you would cut away, it would just be gone again.
Yeah. And they go back to completely hopeless about finding this cat,
Yeah.
Even with all these close calls, they're still like, we'll never find it.
Yeah, it's so good.
I'm starting to think that I was too tired and grumpy last night.
Really?
So I was like, this was okay.
Oh, give it another watch. It's so good.
It had the warp speed that we expect from these guys. I don't know. I didn't think it heightened as much as usual. And like, there were some really inspired beats like, oh, the cat's not here, but there is a dog. I think Paul Dano living under the couch is really funny. When the cat just popped up behind John real quick and then disappeared, that's great. But I sort of feel like they did the same 3 beats twice. Like they found the dog and then they found like something else. And then she caught Ben twice.
I thought it was funny when she caught Ben the second time and he goes, no, it's still me. I'm sorry.
It's me again.
Yeah.
There is something there, but I'm so used to them just exponentially, adding on to things that I don't know. I felt like this one didn't quite have that same kind of energy to it. But I mean, definitely, it's not bad by any means. Like I had fun with it. Yeah, maybe I was just too tired.
Maybe.
All right. Okay. So, mostly good reviews on the missing cat. Let's get on to the next one. Dad reveals some shocking truths and some movie pitches to fast forward through in this video that no one was meant to see yet. Pat, was this a win?
Yeah, I say the win. It wasn't the best sketch of the night, but it was very funny. Very good concept. I loved Keenan's fast forward. Mm-hmm. The second one was much more. I think the first one, I think someone told him right before they started that like, hey, it got censored, so you can't really use the penis bump. You can't show how to use the penis bump, so you can just kind of hold it because he just kind of goes like that for a little bit, and I was just like, okay. Like, but still, like overall, like just a funny premise. This is something that I have done at the beginning of the pandemic. I was sure I was gonna die. Like, I was 100% sure I was gonna be killed by this pandemic. So I was like, let me put out a tape, and then I could set it for like 5 years in the future on YouTube, and then and then I'll be dead, and then in 5 years there'll just be a mysterious video for me that comes up, and it's just like my last will and testament. And I
Please
thought
don't tell me you haven't unscheduled that. I want it. I want to see it.
No, it's
in
still scheduled.
3 more years.
Still scheduled. It's still scheduled for 3 more years. But overall, very funny sketch. Very funny sketch.
Yeah, Steve, where'd you land?
What really worked for me in this is that, they find it at the wrong time. Like, he did such a bad job of hiding this tape, and it has all of this very damning information on it, and the dude's not even dead yet. He's upstairs on the toilet. Just the sheer embarrassment that you feel after it's been set up this way is a great layer. It's definitely more than the sum of its parts. Not to mention, you have some great, performance-based special effects coming from Keaton. Like, the fast forward bit is pretty amazing. And I love when they do that kind of stuff. Like, like the baked in a crispy crust sketch from a Will Ferrell episode comes to mind. Uh, you know, just taking a live stream of video and putting over that filter to make it look as if it's a VHS footage.
Mm-hmm.
And then, on top of that, trying to mimic the fast forwarding from that era. It's just a really fun concept, and I think it had enough going for it that it was definitely a worthwhile venture.
I agree mostly. I'll be a little redundant, and I think this was a creative premise that it is this video, but he's still alive. I think that's really funny, and it was a little slow to heighten, maybe, because I think what we've all said is we love Keenan pretending to fast forward, which is not the game of the sketch.
Yeah,
but it was the highlight for me, at least, because I think it's just so funny, and it felt very all that to me. Like, it felt like something I've seen Keenan do on Nickelodeon. And so that was really fun. But then once they did it a few times, it sort of, to me, was pulling the focus a little bit, and I was like that sort of became the game of it. So, and then the ending was non-existent. So I had some fun with this. Yeah, I had fun with it. I think there's good things here, but as a complete package, I wouldn't say that the whole picture was fantastic.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, but Keenan being Keenan is not gonna miss too much. So we have that going for us. Let's get into these musical performances. Rosalia performs Chicken Teriyaki and La Fama. Steve, was this your first exposure to Rosalia?
Yes, it was. I think there might be some context I need, or I need some taste to acquire. I'm going to be honest. The first song just grated my nerves. Like, I think I was legitimately annoyed by the first song. It was repetitive.
I will
and
agree
monotonous.
100% with you, Steve. You're not gonna die alone at this hill. I hated the first song.
It's like she's making some statement about quick changes at SNL. She has one arm in her sweater while the rest of it hangs off of her. We didn't have enough time to dress me.
I like to think that's what it was. I don't think it was like a fashion choice. It was 100%. They were just like, oh shit, just throw her on stage.
And so the song is called Chicken Teriyaki because, like, I was like, is that just Spanish that, when heard phonetically, it sounds like chicken teriyaki?
Yeah.
You would say like pollo chicken teriyaki or pollo teriyaki. I was just weirded out by it. The second song felt more like music than the first one did. It still sounded like it was composed completely on a Casio keyboard, but the melody of it was actually quite nice. And it was more apparent that this woman has talent from the second song than the first one. Like, it's great. I know it's a talent to, like, do the rapping and the dancing around. Uh, but she actually showed some vocal talent in a traditional
Yeah.
singing sense in that second song. So I was like, okay, so she does have the goods. She certainly had stage presence. I never doubted that, but yeah, she's definitely got some musical talent there.
Pat, are you a Rosalia fan?
No, no. So I've heard her on TikTok before this, and when I saw that she was on, I was only knowing her for TikTok. I was like, oh, that's interesting. Also, I feel like this season too, we've had two guests who are Spanish speakers, and I
Mhm.
think that's really awesome. I do love Bad Bunny. Rosalie not as much. I wasn't I okay, well, I hated her first song. I did not like it. It just I've heard it on TikTok, and that's the one I've heard of her, and I was like, "Oh, I really don't. This is not for me." Maybe it's an age thing, but like I am not in the age group for this music at all. Uh I do love a set when musical performers have their
Mhm.
set from their concerts. I really enjoy that. Her second song was great. I genuinely like it a lot. I downloaded it after the show because I was like, "Oh, I love this song." Um, but her first song, I speak Spanish. It makes no sense. She is listing things. And that's a
We didn't start the fire style.
no, well, sort of. It's kind of like her just listing things about things she likes. And I just kept
Her
trying to
grocery list.
follow it. And I don't speak Spanish great. I speak Spanish well enough that like I can talk to my grandparents. But like I I'm sitting there and I'm listening. I'm just like she's just saying like a list of things that she likes and her name a bunch. Like this again, and that's why I really enjoy the second song was I'm like, wow, she sounds great. The song itself is beautiful. What the fuck was the first performance? And that's just me. That's me. I'm an old man who's just grumpy on a hill. I like my Disney not being made fun of, and I like and I like my singers ballads. But this was not my favorite musical performance of of the year.
Yeah, Pat's coming in spicy.
I'm kind of spicy.
I'll echo the sentiment mostly that you've expressed about Rosalia. I thought she was okay. Neither song really grabbed me. I will say, if I had to pick, I would actually say I prefer the first.
Really?
Hear me out.
Okay, no, I
Uh,
will.
I speak English. I speak some basic French. I don't speak Spanish. Um, Obviously, I understand a huge portion of the world does. So this wasn't aimed at me, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But since I couldn't understand what was being said, there wasn't a ton for me to draw my attention on the second song, right? Whereas the first song had some choreography, had kind of a
Uh-huh.
catchy beat to it. So just purely from that perspective, I had more to absorb from the first song than the second song. Though you're right, I can see that the second song, obviously showcased her singing ability. So yeah, I think maybe not for us, not even aimed at us, is maybe the best thing we can say about her. Let's talk about update though. I think that maybe is for us. It's
Yeah.
definitely up our alley more. For their lead-in, Jost and Shay discuss Russia's fake news law and high gas prices. Pat, was this a strong update outing?
Yeah, I liked Update overall last night. I thought it was very funny. I thought they were very good. I think whenever Che and Jost, I think more than any other weekend update guest, when a joke doesn't go well, they just happen to they just throw their arms up and just go, "Well, you know what? Fine. You right." And I think it's every time we'll just get a laugh from me, so it's such
Yeah.
a strong save. Um the woke Disney joke really got me, which is which is something that like I saw DeSantis being like, "Oh, woke Disney, you guys are anti don't say gay bill." And it's like, really? Because look at all of Disney for the last 90 years. And you can tell
Yeah.
that they're not woke at pretty much at all. So like I really love that joke. And yeah, I thought overall update was good this week. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there were some gems here. I liked the Starbucks messing up Putin's name joke. Thought that was pretty fun. I loved the "I need a new butt" joke. um, but I will say, on the rewatch, I was liking it. I was like, yeah, this is some strong stuff. On Saturday night, I think because I didn't love, like, I thought the Please Don't Destroy, or no, sorry, the Dead Dad video was the last sketch we saw, and I was like, eh. And then I wasn't into Rosalia, and then this came. I was feeling a little down on the roller coaster of the show, so
I
it
get
did
that.
take me the rewatch to be like, oh yeah, that was good. Like live watching, I was getting in a bad mood, so
Yeah.
um even on the rewatch where I was thought there were some things to appreciate here and there was some good stuff going on, I don't think it is the high watermark of the season, but we've said a million times, Jost and Che, even on like a bad night, is still pretty good. Yeah, I'm not gonna complain about it. Steve, where'd you land?
Uh, it's going to be interesting after what you just said. First of all, I thought it was a good flow. I love the style that they have of jokes bleeding into the next. You acknowledge the 2-year anniversary of COVID, and you tie that to your Ukraine war by suggesting that Putin is, breaking under the pressure of COVID.
Mhm.
So yeah, these little segues are very, they're very well done in this era of Weekend Update. Uh, so there's some great examples there. I felt low points of this were things like the Starbucks joke. I know you just mentioned
Ooh.
it specifically, Catherine, but I was just like, well, that's the most obvious joke you can make.
You're not
The
wrong. Yeah.
the word Starbucks pops up in the news, uh, and you go straight to the getting your name wrong thing. I've heard that before. I'm sorry. Uh,
Yeah.
and that's not the only joke. Like I knew from the moment they set up the Oscars uh with uh what's his name?
Terry Fink?
No. The award show joke with the
Oh, John Travolta.
John
Yeah.
Travolta.
Oh
Yeah, I was like,
yeah.
as soon as they had him in the setup, I'm like, oh, they're gonna do the Adina Menzel thing. So like I felt like there's some predictability here that I don't know, maybe I'm just too nerdy to enjoy Weekend Update anymore. But uh yeah, that's some of the low points. And like I said, there was a good flow to it, and some of the jokes were good. Just I just felt there was a little low hanging fruit.
Hey, if anything, we're proving that there's comedy is subjective.
Yeah.
Well,
Yep.
yeah.
So far, we've been all over the board. So there's something for everybody.
Yeah. I will say this one more than at least the last one I was on. We all have very different takes from the sketches, which is good, which is great. It
Yeah.
makes it entertaining for the kids.
Yeah, I mean,
kids who listen.
I don't
For the kids.
remember who said it, but someone at some point in time said that like an episode of SNL where you like every sketch is not a great episode of SNL because that means it only catered to like one person's
Yeah.
tastes. So I guess on one hand they're really knocking it out of the park tonight, but let's get into these features. Up first, Terry Fink here to discuss this year's Oscar contenders and also every other movie from this year that he saw in the last 48 hours. Steve, were you happy to see Terry Fink again?
Yeah. I don't know if I don't like truly remember how they've gone in the past, but I feel like he just gets even more chipper and cheery every time we see him. And yeah, it's really it really makes you uncomfortable. Like the amount of masking that this character does with his optimistic attitude when he's like clearly like in a really bad trip and probably
Yeah.
needs to be given some orange slices and just a lay down in the emergency tent. But it's great because that delivery just does not match his descriptions at all, and that's the beauty of it. I I think I don't remember such a long pause in the middle of sketches like this. Uh, but he definitely needed a moment to recover, and I love how like he took an extra beat to kind of like get lost again before he before he finally
Mhm.
got out of it and get back to his presentation. It almost made
I
me feel like
absolutely
it
love
was
that.
real, like I was actually
Yeah.
watching a tripping dude. Uh, you know, it was successfully unsettling. I must say, probably more so than some of the other ones we've seen. This has been strong from the first iteration, so I guess I'm watching it improve, which means it's a good character to bring back.
Yeah, no, this is a really good appearance. You're exactly right. Like Alex is a master of tongue twisting dialogue, but that moment, the pause where he pauses, he like licks the inside of his mouth, presumably like taking another hit, and then
Mhm.
just reacts for an extended period of time was to die for. And I love that they let him milk that moment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure there is I would imagine some level of unease where like you're reading the script and you're like, it's just like Alex does this for a minute and like you're like, there's no dialogue. But they let him do that and like they trusted him
Mhm.
to just really make a meal of it, and he did. And that just showed how great Alex Moffat is. I love Alex Moffat so much. So yeah, I think that was an amazing moment for him, and that beat you took an already great character and a solid appearance from him and just made it that much better. So, a big win for me. Pat, are you a Terry Fink fan?
I completely agree. I actually wasn't the biggest fan of this character until the sketch. I always thought this character was a little too one note for me. And then for some reason last night it just clicked. And I think it's the thing we're talking about. It's that moment where he gets a very extended moment to kind of like be high
Mhm.
and then
it's
come back to
as
us.
simple
And
as
it's
it is.
so like it just heightens the sketch to another level where it's insane that that little moment makes it so much better. Uh I loved his movie reviews. Him saying that the Zodiac killer Drew in Kanto is
Patron.
so funny. I could watch this character for hours. As someone who has done hallucinogens and watched movies, this is how it feels watching movies. I just like every line in this just worked for me. It's such a funny character.
I'm a big Terry Fink fan, so I'm glad that we're all on the same page, appreciating this appearance.
Yeah.
Let's talk
Yeah.
about the second one. Dan Bulldozer is a super wealthy, fit Instagram influencer, but is he happy? No. I was not familiar with this guy, the guy it was based on before my first watch, but apparently it's a guy, and I've already forget it's something close to it's like Dan Bulldozer or something like that. And
Not
I checked him out
bulldozer.
this
Okay.
morning, and he seems awful. Um,
Oh wow.
so, Pat, were you familiar with Dan? Oh, I wrote it down. Dan Bilzerian.
I was not familiar with this guy. I didn't realize he was doing a real person.
Mhm.
I'm not crazy about this one. A lot of the reason why is the voice modulator they used kind of was way too distracting because for some like you can tell that it was done live on mic, like with
Mhm.
on the mic and stuff. And you could hear some of the laughter in the background get caught in
Uh,
the thing. So
Mhm.
it kind of made this weird it made a weird noise and I have problems with my ears. So if a sound is a little too tinny, it sounds like nails just hitting my eardrums. So like it honestly just completely tanked it for me just because of the voice thing. Like the concept is very funny. The concept
Mhm.
is funny, good premise for a character. It's something that I feel like this is a Kyle Mooney classic kind of character of like an overly confident guy who you slowly realize has no confidence at all. Um,
Right.
but I just it's just the voice modulator just it really ruined it for me. It was too much. I don't know.
No, I mean, you're not wrong. Like, I did make a note about the voice modulator and that they've done it a few times and it's yet to come off flawlessly.
Yeah.
Which obviously, like, it's a complicated, tricky thing to do. I don't have the technical
Mhm.
know-how to say how to fix it, but uh it's a thing they keep coming back to. I'm excited for the day that it goes perfectly.
Yeah.
But
it
I don't
never
think this
will.
was quite it.
That'll never happen.
But that said, I think the character in general suffered a bit for me I didn't know exactly who it was based on. Obviously, I understood the trope of the Instagram influencer, like fit dude. Like I get all of that, but I think there is a bit more to it once you learn about the guy. So, but it was just okay for me because I don't know, I didn't feel like they had a strong point of view with what they were saying with him. So like towards the end, it sort of loses the thread a little bit. So yeah, it was just okay. It had some moments, but the biggest thing that was distracting to me was the fake arms, which were very impressive as long as they were bent at just the right angle. Like, any movement past that may have looked scary. But like as long as he held them just right, they looked really, really good. But yeah, those freaky little things were there. Steve, anything to add?
I usually have a lot to say about, when they go down the speech modulation route, but I kind of liked it for this character because, by nature, he's very phony. And I feel like that's something he would do. Like, even in his own videos, like, lower his voice to sound more manly because that's more on brand. It played into the fact that his whole existence is manufactured and nothing you see is organic or real. Yeah, I don't know. It's very Kyle, and it's very similar to a lot of other Kyle characters. I feel like this wasn't a truly new ground broken by, what Kyle does.
Fair enough. So less than stunning review on what was his name? Dan Bulldozer. Let's get into the back half of the show. The game is simple. We'll show you a bunch of letters, and those letters, some make words. Find those words, you get points, and those points is money. Honestly, this sketch was. There are sketches in the show that I have liked and I have enjoyed. This was the first one I loved.
Great.
And I agree.
Yeah.
I got like huge laughs right away. The way Zoë Kravitz with such confidence said, "Mom hole." I started laughing out loud. My husband had fallen asleep. I woke him up. Like, I loved that. It just really got me. And then there were 2 mom holes, and then I got excited. I literally said aloud, "Oh, what's gonna be next?" I was so excited, and then we got to some speed runs. It just kept getting funnier. It kept expanding. I thought this was some pretty top-notch writing. Pat, was it a win for you? I guess you said
Huge
it was.
win.
So yeah.
Huge win. This I love that you brought up Zoë Kravitz, her acting in this, because it's so good. Her becoming so indignant by just her repeating "mom hole, mom hole, mom hole, right. Mom hole" was.
So she says that and gets points. I say mom hole.
Oh yeah, she says pothole, and she goes, "Oh, a pothole works, but a mom hole does it." The thing that I loved in the sketch, that it was just a little throwaway thing, is they kept cutting to the fact that, like, there was a writer's strike, so the sound woman wrote it, and they cut over to Sarah Sherman, and she's doing her classic, like, Long Island kind of like, "Hey, how are you?" And she's like, "I'm a mom, I got holes." Is that, and then also my favorite line of this sketch is, "You don't want to think about them, but they got them." It's so great. I could watch 10 of these if they want to do this as a recurring. I love, Steve, you just brought up Black Jeopardy. If this becomes a recurring game show, I would be so happy. I would love to see what other kind of dirty words we could find in these things, and then and I just the idea that mom hole is such a disgusting word, but also not a word. Right. It's not a real thing. But this was a huge one for me. I love this sketch.
Yeah, tons of fun. Steve, are you going to agree with us, or are you going to be the?
Yeah, I'm going. And you know what was working for me is that, it felt like a real personality. Like, I feel like I've met people like this, where they just get an idea in their head and they have trouble letting it go.
Yeah.
And like, they become blind to the explanation of why it's not acceptable. It's like, if you've ever tried to explain a board game to an elderly family member, and they're like,
yeah.
"Well,
Yeah.
I don't get it. I landed on the jail tile. Doesn't that mean I'm in jail? No, you're just visiting, Grandma." And yeah, they made it very crass and cavalier, but that just created such a hilarious situation.
100%.
So
And I will-
yeah, there's definitely some replay value here, Patrick.
Yeah. Oh, and I
Mhm.
feel like that you could do this every host could just do a mom hole kind of sketch.
Everybody.
And also good for them understanding the market. All right. I would say Zoe Kravitz is one of our bisexual queens, and to have her say so many horny things on air, well, you just fed us for years. Like
right.
I was texting my friend who was also watching it, and we're both of the persuasion over there, and we were just texting like this. There, like I can't believe they're letting her say so many dirty words. They know what TikTok's gonna do to this. Like. It's gonna get gross. Like this is gonna get gross online. It's gonna be a bunch of 14-year-olds came to their own last night watching this sketch. That is what happened.
Look,
We've got a modern woman on our hands.
A modern woman. That's
Yeah, I'm about to say us buys. We got Zoe Kravitz saying all of that, and we have the modern woman joke, and then
good year.
Kate McKinnon in the leather. Like this was an episode.
Oh my god.
The thirsties are eating well. Or
Yeah,
drinking
yeah,
well.
yeah.
I don't know. It's thirst.
Yeah.
I will say, like, to wrap this up, that seeing Dismukes hosting a game show was lovely.
Yeah.
Because I love Andrew Dismukes. I love he's still a featured player. He wrote for the show for a while. This is his second year. Like, we're familiar with him, but he is technically a featured player. And they put him in this game show role that we've seen many before him take on that sort of mantle, and he owned it. And so that was really fun to see too, because they could have given that to a million more senior cast members. But
yeah,
nice.
I was Mikey Day could have done this, or Alex Moffat did it, but he brought something new to this type of guy, and it was a very unique kind of host. It wasn't like, oh, he's trying to do like a Beck Bennett, or oh, he's trying to do a Bill Hader, or this definitely felt like a very unique take on a exasperating game show host. So yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
Definitely
All right,
made
so
it so.
tons to love on Word Crunch. Let's talk about the 10-1. Cortana, play Don't Stop Believin' by the Ohio State Marching Band. Steve, where'd you land on it?
Oh, I don't know. I just I feel like this is relatable content. Yeah. I guess I'm usually this guy in the group with just really weird fixations that they have to share with the world. Yeah, it's a wholesome sketch. I just felt like it was adorable, as cringe as it was, and yeah, it was clearly uncomfortable for everyone involved, but like it was just so innocent. And yeah, I loved it. It's the perfect weirdness of a 10-1. It had a very flimsy love story that just kind of fizzled on the spot. Actually, no, I still like girls.
That is my favorite part of the sketch.
Yeah.
That moment where it's like, are we not gay anymore? We're not gay anymore. Well, I'm still gay. Well, I'm also still gay. I was like, yes, we've made it. We made it. This is our mountaintop. Like, we did it. We're finally allowed to just be gay on TV.
Yeah. But I think they just treated the plot with the same wackiness as every other aspect of the sketch. Yeah. And this is what you want to see if a sketch is not going to take itself seriously, and it's got to, really commit to that. And I think that's what we see here. It falls apart as it should for what it promises. Like, it probably shouldn't have a clean ending. It should probably just leave you scratching your head.
Yeah, I loved this. As a former marching band member, I felt seen. I felt understood. Bowen Yang giving another breakout performance of the night, just killed it.
Yeah.
It just cannot be overstated how much he killed it. And then I love bringing Zoe in as the pea in the pod, and it was just they fleshed out the world of these characters so well. Like, we know what they want is to go back to high school. We know they love walking down the street. We know that they love playing Rainbow Road on Mario Kart 8. Was that the one they liked?
Yeah.
And then, like, and I love that they don't actually really know the original song. That's even funnier. That adds such a great layer. And then mixing all that in with like the specifics of marching band covers of songs is so funny. Like, the trumpets are playing the melody, like the guitar part. I think that's so funny.
I didn't know trumpets could do guitar.
I didn't know they could do that. Big win, really strong sketch, and I thought a pretty solid ending with the we're in love, aren't you both gay? Yes. I think that was so funny. So yeah, big win. Pat, was it a win for you too?
Oh, huge win. I love this sketch. I looked up the song after. It is typoed. There is a typo in it. It is. It's just
really?
It's a real. It's a real. Oh, it's a real song, and it really is a typo. It Don't Start Believin' or Believin', right?
11, yep. Oh my god, I love
Did anyone else at the beginning of the pandemic go through a marching band phase where you just watched a bunch of marching band videos? I did 100%, and I really connected to Bone's character where I was the guy going like, "Do you guys hear? It's Don't Stop Believin'." Like, isn't that crazy? And coming from like I didn't have a marching band in my high school. We barely were given desks. So we did not have a marching band. So like I didn't have that like school experience. So like marching bands are like a very kind of like foreign thing to me. But I really love this. This premise really worked. Bowen's excitement really worked for me. And just, man, every time we just get to see Bowen go like to an 11, we are so rewarded for it. Like, we really like oh god, it's just such a good energy. Like, especially like this is it. This is the 10-to-1 sketch. This is it. This is what we're getting for the night. What a brilliant way to end. Like, it left me in such a happy mood at the end of the night, and that's what I want from SNL. I want to end in like a high note. So yeah.
Yeah. I love that it's I figured that the Ohio marching band probably had a cover of Don't Stop Believin', but I love that it's actually typoed because I feel like that was probably the nugget that started this whole sketch. Was like the writer found it and then they're like, where can we put this?
Yeah.
That's a great new layer to it.
Yeah. I also the moment where like, because it goes crazy almost immediately. That's the other thing too. Like, it immediately goes to a 10.
Yeah.
Because it's that moment where like I think it's Andrew Disputes who comes in with the plate of food, and he just slaps it so hard out of his hands, and
Not
just goes,
now.
"Not now!" Like, and I just was so
Frittata?
like this. Like, the second he started playing the marching band, I was like, "Oh, this is funny." The second he slapped it, it was standing the rest of the time. I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be fun. This is gonna be a fun one." So yeah, I like this one a lot.
All right. Well, I'm glad we unanimously ended on a high note. That's the end of the rundown. It's time to talk about all of our ratings. And up first is moment of the night. Patrick, what's your moment?
Moment of the night is Zoë Kravitz repeatedly saying "mom hole." Just every time she said "mom hole," it was different, and that I think is important. It wasn't her just repeating the word; the inflection was different, the meaning was different behind it, and it made it so much funnier every time. So, "mom hole" is the moment of the night.
This was a show with a lot of good moments. It could be easy for me to say Kate McKinnon in the Cat Lady outfit. The Alex pause that we mentioned and the Terry Fink thing, that moment was great. I don't know. Oh, I think I have to give it to Bowen Yang just belting the absolute wrong words to Don't Stop Believin', and just really owning that whole sketch. But when he just belts it out, I think that was the moment that took it for me.
Guess
Steve, what's your moment?
Steamboat. I was gonna give it to the fast forwarding performance from Keaton.
Yeah, that's a good
But then
mention.
I decided not to because the real king of that gag is Reggie Watts. If you've ever seen Reggie Watts do that in any of
Yeah.
his performances,
Yeah.
he's got that. That belongs to him. So as funny as it was, I can't give it to Keaton because it would feel like cheating. Uh, I'm gonna probably give it to Pesky Penis. Chris Red,
Oh.
he's responsible for a lot of moments. I've come to realize, at least for what I picked.
Let's talk about our best sketch. Patrick, what's it going to?
I think I'm gonna give it to the Please Don't Destroy. I really love that Please Don't Destroy sketch. It is, yeah. I mean, like I've watched it 3 times now. It's and I can't wait to watch it again just because there's just so much going on in it. So yeah, I'm gonna give it to Please Don't Destroy again. I think I gave it to him last time maybe, but yeah, I love those guys. They're fantastic. Fun sketch.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. I think for me it is far and away Word Crunch.
Yeah.
That one just killed me. I loved it so much. My runner up would be Don't Stop Believin', but at the end of the day, I think Word Crunch is just I can send that to 10 friends and they're all gonna love it, and I'm excited to share it with them because it's so funny. So yeah, Mom Hole.
Yeah.
Steve, what's your best sketch?
Oh, it's hard to say. I think I'll give it to the pre-tape from Please Don't Destroy. It was probably the most fun to be had for the night. I think they, as great as Zoe might be, I feel like she needed some extra coaxing for performances on a comedic basis. So that seemed to shine through better in the pre-tapes because they could do multiple tries at it, give some direction. And I think this is where Zoe was most enjoyable. And yeah, I think this is just up there with some of the best Please Don't Destroy sketches.
Let's talk about MVP. Pat, whose is it?
It's hard. This one was really hard. It came down to 2 people who I feel like nailed it. I'm gonna give it to Bowen Yang for 2 of the strongest performances of the night. Yeah, the plunger nipple was amazing, fantastic. But the Don't Stop Believin' sketch at the end just cemented why he's such a great performer. Like he's so incredible. So yeah, I'm gonna give it to Bowen. I almost gave it to someone else. I'm gonna see if anyone else mentions them. So I'm not gonna say it, but yeah,
Okay.
but Bowen killed it.
I'm going to give it. Bowen's a good choice, but I'm going to give it to Chris Red. I think he killed it as that frog. Whether you like the sketch or not, he brought something to it. He has just that cool confidence while being such a moron. He does that so well. We had that sketch earlier this season. It was like a car heist. And that was exactly what he did. He was totally confident. He did not know how to drive a stick shift.
Yeah, yep.
And I think that he just plays that so perfectly. And then I think he was great in the Amazon ad. And then he was also just all over the place. He was in so much, even if he wasn't, getting the big laugh in a sketch, even if he was playing more of a voice of reason, he was everywhere. And then he was really owning those moments that were his. So Chris Red's it for me. Steve, where are you going?
I literally had in another tab on my browser the Google feature, flip a coin. You can just Google flip a coin and it brings up like a picture of a coin you can flip because I literally could not decide between Chris Red and Bowen Yang. So
there you go.
Now you've represented both.
We haven't helped you.
Well, it frees me up because I'm going to say, great, they got their accolades from the other 2 yahoos doing this podcast with me. So I'm just gonna go with Andrew now and give it to Andrew Dismukes because
fair enough.
he like you were saying about Chris, I also thought Andrew was great in the Amazon Go sketch. I think he had a special role, to play off of Zoe. So, he was one of the white characters that didn't have the privilege of, just going by himself. He had to try to mediate, what was going on with Zoe. And that was some good comedy there. Plus, he was the host of a game show. I feel like that's a big deal.
Yeah.
They
Yeah, that's a big
really
moment.
are selective on who gets to host game shows
Mhm.
on SNL. So
I will say that my other person who I was gonna pick was Andrew.
yeah, there you go.
Because I really feel like, and also he gets a moment with him and Bowen. He gets that plate slammed in his face, and it's so funny.
Yep.
You know,
And he was
Yeah.
that friggin' fly or whatever. That
it's
Yep.
it's a firefly. His name is Ray. He's in love with a star. All right,
yeah.
Evangeline is her name. The Star, a movie I've seen too many times. I'm realizing more than once is too many times, and I've seen it at least twice.
Right.
So,
Fair enough.
You know what I like about this? I feel like we've all picked 3 different people, but I think we could all collectively agree that these are the top 3 of the night.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But before we can wrap this up, we do have to talk about our big one on a scale of classic, great, decent, weak, or train wreck. Patrick Riley, how would you rate this episode?
I'll rate it on the higher end of weak. I would say lower decent, higher weak.
Weak plus.
Weak plus. I'll put it weak plus, decent minus. How's that? Yeah. I mean, like, again, I feel like this sketch, to the exception of the word crunch, I don't think there's anything new this week that I can't wait to see more of. The returning characters were good, but other than Terry Fink, I don't think they really broke the mold. But yeah, other than the word crunch, I felt like the rest of the week was fine. It wasn't a bad week at all. Like, it's some very funny sketches, but like nothing that's gonna like outlive the show outside of word crunch. Again, word crunch, masterpiece. Is a sketch I'll be going back to for the rest of my life. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go decent. I'll be a little generous with it. I think there were some things that I really liked. There were a lot of things that were middle of the road for me. A few things that just weren't for me. Musical guest that was a miss. One of the update features that was a miss. So I definitely can't go great, but there was enough that I liked and enough that you guys gave me an appreciation for. And I do think it makes it to decent. I think it has a little bit of something for everybody. I think it had some high highs. So decent for me. Steve, where'd you land?
Well, you might remember when I was having trouble picking a best sketch, I said it was hard to pick. And I don't want you to think that it was hard to pick because everything was so good tonight. It was more like that nothing was truly elevated to stand out. I feel like it was, some good spots here and there, but generally nothing that would really rile you up. And yeah, I was feeling like I was going to come into this giving it a weak rating, and maybe I thought maybe I'm being too harsh, but then I guess Patrick went for it, and I was going to say, if I went with weak, it would be the higher end of weak.
Yeah,
and yeah, I think that is fair. I would not be respecting the rating system if I got generous with this. We need a reality check here. We need to set a bar somewhere. I think this is an episode that is where it lands for week. So it's a week. Those are 2 different words spelled differently. But yeah, that's got to happen.
Okay, so a weak to decent episode. I'm glad that we all loved word crunch. I'm glad that we all appreciate Bowen and Chris and Andrew. This was a really fun chat, guys. Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Oh, a pleasure as always.
Yeah.
Thank you, Patrick.
Of course.
Hey, Steve. Thank you. Thank you, Steve.
Look at us. Look at us.
Look at us. Who would have thought?
Look at
Who'd have
us.
thought?
We're just in heaven.
And you know what? I'll throw out one. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, Catherine, for having me back. I really enjoyed it.
Even Catherine gets a thank you.
Even
Yeah.
Thank you, Patrick, for coming back, and thank you, Steve, for being here.
Yeah.
Wow. We're just all
Not
three
as special
such
for
great
me, but
friends.
yeah.
It is special for you, Steve. You're always special. You're so reliable, and I love having you each time. But yeah, Patrick, the more so, thank you. You are more
thank
important.
you.
So
Good.
thank you for being here. And what you got going on? You got anything coming up?
Yeah, I do. Actually, I have something coming up this weekend. If you guys want to come by, it's I'm part of this great community called Broadway Bods. It is musical theater lovers who are bigger like myself, and we're doing a cabaret on the 19th of this month called the Against Type Cabaret. I'll be singing some songs from musicals, and it's at 7 p.m. at the Russian Arts Theater studio. So come see that if you want. If you're in New York and you want to see some larger people sing musical theater, that's always fun. And then just follow me on TikTok. I'm with the TikToking kids at Not Pat Riley, and all social media platforms.
Yeah, that sounds like a fun show. That sounds like a good time.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's so they I could not perform with them in the fall because I was not available that week. But our goal is we're going to be putting up musicals that are all people who are just larger people like myself, and so that will be that's the end goal. So this
Love
is
that.
kind of like a fundraiser to fund a summer production of something.
Awesome.
So
So that's Saturday, and you said where again?
Saturday at the Russian Arts Theater Studio. At
Where is that?
8 p.m. It is on 84th Street, I think, on one of the sides, either east or west. I'm not
Oh,
100% sure.
I love
But
that
it's by
journey
you.
for me
It's by
because I'm
you.
on
Yeah,
88th.
yeah, Yeah, exactly. You're right by it. I thought
Yeah, I
about that
have
when I was.
No excuse.
Yeah, you have none. What are you doing on Saturday? Watch no one's hosting this week, so
no
you
one's
have
hosting.
so you have no reason to stay home.
You're absolutely right. I guess I'll see you Saturday.
Steve, you want to take a trip down to New York and come see it?
I'm already on the way.
Yeah,
I purchased the ticket. I'm here setting that up as you guys speak.
Oh, good.
I'm
You
on the
can
way.
sleep on my couch. I got some cats for you.
Oh, great.
Oh,
That'd be great.
That's the good stuff.
Yeah, so I actually have a show next Wednesday. The team I direct, the sketch team, has a virtual show. It'll be on the Laugh Index Theater YouTube page at 8 p.m. on Wednesday, March 23rd. This week we're in full production mode, so I've got every day this week basically I'm filming something, and then I gotta edit a bunch of it. But we got some good stuff, some stuff I'm really excited to see how it comes together. So yeah, tune in next Wednesday at 8. And that's what I got going on. Steve, you got anything big planned for SNL's hiatus?
Well, just my regular gig. I'm working with Newfoundland Morning now. I've moved radio shows. Now I'm with a bigger audience, and I'm creating some of the content you'll hear on that show. So yeah, if you ever want to hear small town radio that's not in your town for whatever reason, why don't you tune in? You might hear something from me. But yeah, I wish I had something as fun to plug as you guys.
Hey, well, you know what? I will tune in because who doesn't love that nice tone of Steve's voice?
Oh,
yeah, come on. The Newfies are the best. It's the best. They're a welcoming people.
I'm not on air as much these days. I'm in a producer role, but a lot of the stuff you'll hear at least came from my finger and brain.
Came straight from the finger to the radio.
My finger
only on Newfoundland Morning.
Yes,
straight out of the mom hole. There we go.
And on that note, that is a wrap. Thanks to Pat Riley and Steve Finn. And thanks as well to our most generous patrons, Neil Weinstein, Justin Gardner, Grace Kogan, and Brian Clark. If you're enjoying our show, please subscribe on YouTube or wherever better podcasts can be found. Your subscription helps us grow, and your support is greatly appreciated. We'll be back in a few weeks when SNL returns, but until then, this has been episode number 156 of the Saturday Night Live Afterparty podcast. I'm Catherine Coleman. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.